Good morning. Welcome to ScreenJunkies Universe. It is a very exciting Thursday because Roxy Striar is here with us.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yes.
Fly, Roxy, fly.
The pink hair is holding. Spencer Gilbert is here.
Present and accounted for.
Dan Murrell.
Also present.
Very well. We forced these two, but Roxy comes of her own free will, so she is especially beloved.
Why you don't force someone here?
I'm also present. I feel like I want to be part of the cool kids club by saying that. I'm present.
Present and accounted for. We're very happy to have all of these wonderful people here today to talk about the entertainment news things, starting with the other day, Dan, we talked about the Oscar nominations. Do you recall this?
I do indeed, yes. I referring back to my previous statement, I do recall the conversations we had on Tuesday.
On Tuesday of this year.
Sorry, it sounded like a Senate hearing. Like, do you recall the conversation?
Do you recall what you said, Dan?
I do, yes.
If we refer to the record.
Can you read it back to me, please?
No.
On
That
Tuesday,
we
I
can't
don't
do.
remember
No,
the
I
date.
couldn't.
I wanted to actually give the whole date, like on Tuesday, January, and then I was like, I don't know, what was it, like,
Today
Today's the 25th.
like the
23rd, I
22nd or something of this year.
One
We
of
brought up
those.
the fact that I wished Roxy had been here because she had a different perspective than the rest of us, talking about the things that we felt were the Oscar snubs, and the things that we perhaps would not have wanted to see get nominated for Academy Awards. So I wanted to talk about that with you today. And one of them we all did agree on, which was Lego Batman. Felt weird that it wasn't there. And the other one was Wonder Woman.
More
which-
than weird. It felt like not an oversight. It felt like an on-purpose jab, I think.
For Lego Batman?
Yeah.
It is strange that it's not so much that, like, there's always the little ones that get nominated, but putting Ferdinand and Boss Baby in there over Lego
Boss Baby?
Batman. Boss Baby in particular was weird.
Boss Baby.
Baby?
That's rude.
Boss Baby is a genius exploration of the evils of late capitalism as told through a baby in a coma. So
Wait, the baby, every time you
Or
bring
no, I'm
up
sorry. His
Boss
older brother's in
Baby-
a coma and he's dreaming all of this.
Okay.
It's a really trippy psychedelic voyage, the likes of which hasn't been seen since Voyage to the Moon.
Every time you bring up this movie, a new layer is revealed, and I am more and more convinced that it actually belongs there. I haven't seen it yet.
Where did you
It
see it,
doesn't.
Spencer?
It's not.
Right here at work for
damn.
that's my job. Just to rewatch Boss
The
Baby.
fans
Good day
literally
for
told
you.
us, forced us to watch the
Yeah.
movie.
So I was a big fan of Lego Batman. But why would it be sort of? Why do you think they would purposely snub it?
I don't know why, but they clearly did. Because if you look at that list, how is that movie not on there? A lot of people think that it was an even stronger movie than Wonder Woman being the best DC film of the year. So how? How does Lego Batman, which is a really funny, great film, not make it there?
It had Lego and Batman in the title. I think that's literally the reason why. I think it had the words Lego
On the
and
nose.
Batman, and they're like, oh, well, that's dumb.
The Lego movie didn't get nominated either.
It did not.
That's a
true.
shame. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
they are literally just looking at the title because those are two of the better animated movies I've seen. Lego Batman was up there in my favorite Batman movies.
Coming in hot.
Oh, Billy,
Say something
Billy,
real
ding,
quick.
ding, ding.
Always.
In 2012, when they sent out the screeners for Dark Knight Rises, I was shocked because I looked back and forth, read the entire synopsis. They managed to write up a whole synopsis without once mentioning the word Batman.
Yeah.
It was nowhere to be found on that screener.
They just thought they'd be tricked and go, "Oh, Christian
I
Bale,
was
let's
like,
nominate
oh,
it."
like, and the cover was Bruce Wayne climbing like the wall. Like there's no photos of Batman, no photos of Bane, no photos of Catwoman. It's just Christian Bale. And then they had
That's outrageous.
they had
And then
Anne
Christopher
Hathaway
Nolan.
in her like gown from like the ballroom scene.
That's
so you
fascinating.
have no
Wow.
idea that it was Batman. Like if you're just like the colostomy bag Academy voter.
That's fascinating. So do
I'm
we?
told that was
do we
offensive.
think that this is?
I'm not going to say it anymore.
I feel like everybody is under the impression that there really is this bias. But
that is
Logan was
living
nominated for screenplay, then again called Logan, not Wolverine, Old Man Wolverine. It wouldn't have been called that anyway, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, a lot of people have asked me, should Wonder Woman have been nominated for Best Picture? Is that what you're pushing? I don't know. For me, it was a top 10 film of the year. That's for me personally. I was emotionally affected by it. And everybody's saying, but it's a superhero film. How can you compare a superhero film to a drama? What? What the hell does that mean? A genre of film can't make you feel a certain kind of way. It can't be beautiful. So I don't get that. I'm not sure it should have been nominated for that, but there's a lot of things that I feel like it could have been nominated for that it wasn't. For the costumes. What about costume design? Why not? For sound, for Probably not visual effects, as Roth and I discussed before. A little rough. But, there's a lot of different nominations that it could have received. And to be completely shut out as, I think, the most important movie of the year, but not just the most important movie, one of the best movies, a movie that, to me, was infinitely better than Logan, which I thought was
Shots
good.
fired.
I thought Logan was good. I think that it is highly overrated, but I still think it's a good movie. I think Wonder Woman, when we're talking about these movies in 10 years, what are we going to be talking about? Effing Phantom Thread?
Yeah, probably.
Or Wonder Woman?
I will probably.
Phantom Thread? A
Yeah.
movie that I could have watched with my freaking eyes only? Like,
That's
What
a
is that?
compliment.
I watch
Yeah, what does
movies
that
with
mean?
my eyes only. I don't know.
not with my ears.
beautiful.
No
Oh.
listening. It was like the most mediocre story I've ever read in my whole life.
See, that's just where we differ.
You were on board with me before
We
this.
are ideologically opposite, as we found out many times on this show. You and I. It happens.
Is movie taste ideology now?
I'm still
Well-
Team Dan, though, just to be clear.
Movie-wise, we are ideologically. Oh my God! So I'm gonna just pre-write everything I say on the show and run it by the police before. Ideologically, when it comes to film, Roxy and I are magnetically opposite. So this is where I found that we often digress. TV-wise too, The Crown is a
Yeah.
is a show that I enjoy
You know,
very much. So
Another thing that I could have watched with my ears closed.
That was not a dig at you, Dan.
What does
Dan.
your body do? How do you experience the world? Do you open and close your ears and watch films of something other than your eyes?
I'm trying to do it right now.
Okay.
if I seem overly sensitive, it's because we get called out for a lot of like Spencer and his colostomy bag thing I saw, and we were called ageist for the Academy thing.
And
So
I
that's
get
why I
called
want to
out
make
for
sure.
literally everything I
No,
say.
I just want to make sure that there's no.
I'm teasing you guys too much. I'm not teasing you enough. I'm too silly. I'm too serious. I'm making you serious.
It's not
I'm
a
making
personal-
you
I
stop.
agree
Shut
with
up.
all
It's
of
not
those
a personal
things.
thing. I just want to make sure people know that there's no malice intended with anything.
No.
that we
There's
say.
no malice. So we're
God damn it! We can't win.
What-
we can't do anything
And
right.
what makes the
No,
world
I'm
around
not-
is
I'm not-
obviously
We like
more
and
people.
respect each other and you. But I actually do think it's interesting that it feels like everything is like a binary divide in life right now. Just everything, whether it's Wonder Woman
That's
or
why I'm calling.
socks.
Roxy and I
wanna be
disagree,
clear.
but I'm not saying she's wrong. Just like she's not saying
have
I'm
different
wrong. We have
opinions.
differences in opinion.
That is another reason that I'm calling the film mediocre, not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is a bad movie. It did nothing.
Phantom Thread or Logan?
Phantom Thread.
Okay.
Logan is a good movie. Phantom Thread is not a bad movie. There is a difference.
I love that you have. I don't.
It's your opinion. I can't say it's not your
Yeah.
opinion.
And that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I get people connect to different things. That
Yeah.
makes sense because we all have different pasts in history. What about Phantom Thread is what I keep wondering. Does anybody feel in their gut? Like when you're watching that film, other than the costumes, which are stunning and should win
Yeah.
because that was
They're
like
beautiful.
a work of frickin' art, what are you feeling in your gut? The ending twist that made the whole movie irrelevant because it was like,
Here's
Huh.
okay.
I hear
Well,
what
we're
you're
not going to get into
saying.
Phantom Thread spoilers in the
Right.
last scene, but if you watch that last scene and aren't like, that's the most incredible piece of acting I saw all year, just that last
the
scene.
performances are strong.
Okay.
Here's what
Thank you.
Here's what I feel in my gut about Phantom Thread is I thought it was going to go one way. I thought there's going to be this story that you've seen before about this tortured genius and he's fallen in love with this person and then his you know he has to keep being brilliant and this is going to cost him everything and he's going to end up this miser, and I had mapped this movie out in my head to its logical conclusion by what you often see. And it surprised me, and I actually thought it told that story in a very different way and even a more realistic way in the sense of like, for me, it was a story about somebody who meets his match. This peerless person who meets his match and
Did it
doesn't
hit you?
know how to. Yeah, it did. It hit me
you?
in a lot of ways. Like I felt it subverted my expectations as to how I thought that story was going to go, and I thought it was a very unique portrait of a story that's been told many times before, including by P.T. Anderson with Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. I thought that this might be kind of a cut rate version of that, and it wasn't that, and it surprised me, which is why
And
I
as far as
enjoyed that film a
hitting
lot.
you, it wasn't supposed to hit you in the sense where you're like, woo, make the dress. It hit you in the sense where you're like uncomfortable and you're worried about her and you're like, ooh, he puts me off and he's very fussy. And
Never
like,
worried
will
about
he ever
her.
change?
I was worried about him.
Well,
Really?
exactly.
Yeah. She was a loon.
So was he.
It's an anxious movie. It's supposed to put you on edge.
He wasn't hiding his looniness.
Everybody was crazy. I don't know.
The
it-
looniness
to
was
me, it
out to
like-
play with him. Okay, let's shift gears for a second. The Post, another relatively mediocre film.
I will agree
Still
with
haven't
that.
seen it.
I will agree with that.
The Post is good. It's a really
Yeah.
strong movie, but it wasn't for me one of the best movies of the year, or
Do you
one of
think
my, I
that
should
was a
say one of my
better-
favorite movies.
Was
of the
that
year.
a better movie than Logan? Was that a better movie than Wonder Woman?
The Post for me, no, I agree. The Post is the opposite of Phantom Thread, though, right? Because the Post, the problems that I have with the Post is that it lacks subtlety altogether. Everything in it is about delivering this message and Spielberg letting you know how he feels about the state of media and how he feels about the government interference with media and how he feels tough decisions in that realm should be made, which is do the right thing. Those are all great messages, but they're, man, with a freaking bag of hammers, all right? I mean, it's like an entertaining movie. It's good. But versus Phantom Thread is all about the subtle, toxic nature of relationships, right? And it takes this very heightened version of that. But all of that is in relationships to some degree or another.
I would rather watch the Joker and Harley on screen.
Okay.
Because what...
That wasn't
what,
an option, though.
No, but that's what I felt like Phantom Thread ended up being.
You're right. It didn't have any superheroes in it, so
Yeah,
it should probably
none.
be disqualified.
Where were all the
Zero
superheroes?
Why isn't there a big CGI floating bad guy at the end for him to fight with a stitching needle?
Yeah,
Did you
that's
guys feel like
kind
it
of what
was
puts me off.
7.5 hours long?
No, it flew by for me, and it was 2 hours long.
It was 8 hours.
It
I'm
was the
positive.
length.
not
It was
my
the length of
favorite.
every
Look,
movie.
I think we should get
Roxy.
back
It was
to-
an average movie
Get back
length.
to
I'm positive it was 7 hours. You missed 5 of them.
Let's try to circle back to the topic, which is Wonder Woman being snubbed or not. And it's like, on one hand, it wasn't in my personal top 10, but they also didn't nominate 10 films of the possible 10. So I think I'd personally put Florida Project there, but I think it could fill that 10th spot.
Well, that's the
I
problem.
wouldn't be mad if it did.
Yeah, that's the problem for me. Is it was a really strong year for movies. I think
Yeah,
and people
agree.
that say that it wasn't, it's
see
because you
things.
saw this 5 shitty blockbusters and didn't see a lot of these other ones. And I know that you can't see some of them, and I encourage you to go seek them out. It's not an elitist thing of just like you only like movies that nobody saw. Well, the movies that I liked were the ones that were in limited release, so not as many people saw them, and the big ones, a lot of them weren't as good. But that aside, like Wonder Woman, I'm with Spencer. Like I liked it. I liked Wonder Woman in the same way that I liked the first Iron Man movie. I thought it was really strong. Got the character right. A really great leading performance. And a third act that kind of just went into big comic book nonsense and fighting in the sky. But a movie that I enjoyed. Not one that I would nominate for Best Picture.
But for anything else?
Costume, I think, is a good call.
Yeah,
I love
I
like
thought
the
costume,
Amazon armor was super
But then
functional
it's
and
going to
great
definitely
looking.
lose
and,
to Phantom Thread.
But that's okay. I'm okay with it
maybe.
losing. I just didn't think it was right that it's not nominated for anything. I feel like, okay, this is a weird reference. The Jews with Passover, we leave the seat open for Elijah. And that is what they were doing with this 10th chair. They were like choose your own adventure, so that Spencer could be like, it should have been Florida Project, and I'm like, ooh, Wonder Woman could have been there, and like all of us kind of fill in the blank with our would-be movie that's not actually getting invited to the table, but we're leaving a chair open for. So when you are leaving a chair open, it's only right that all of us in our brains are like, what could have filled it?
But
Elijah.
Elijah's invited,
Tangled
right?
analogy, but we
Yeah,
got that. I like it.
Elijah's invited. He's
Yeah, but
just
he
not
doesn't
real.
show up, so I
Right.
guess it's the actual opposite.
but it's just
we
'cause
weren't
he's not
invited.
real.
Well, I think they need to make
it's just 'cause he's
another
not real.
another category of Best Picture that's like most entertaining. Or
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Here-
think
Go ahead.
yeah, and they could cross over. There could be a movie nominated for both, but like I have what I think are the best movies of the year, and then I have what are my favorite movies of the year. And my favorite ones are the ones that are entertainment products for the most part. They're like designed to just like light up my little serotonin levels. But the best films of the year are the ones that like kind of make me uncomfortable. They're doing something I've never seen before. They're not necessarily enjoyable.
Like having sex with a frog. Shape
It's
of water.
okay. You know,
Okay.
Why does everyone
I
reduce
don't
the shape of water to that? That is a beautiful
understand.
story
He's
about the
not a
people being
frog at
marginalized
all.
in
He
society
is a
and finding your
godlike
voice.
creature
And all
who's
people
more
talk about
human
is,
than
oh,
the
she has
human
sex with
being.
an Englishman.
And
That's
frankly,
like
she
5
also
minutes of
shares
that
the
movie.
DNA
That
with
is
him.
ridiculous.
She's of the same species. She's just been lost this whole time.
I
found
really
her
like that
place.
movie. I just want to be clear. But she does have sex with a frog.
See, that would be my best picture and most entertaining.
It is
of
kind
the
of
year.
bestiality, and nominated.
It's both. That's
Yeah.
what it. That and that's
Fish
so
Man.
rare.
Fishman.
Yeah.
Fishman, tell him.
We talked about this yesterday. It's so rare. You're right, Spencer, to have a movie that operates on both those levels. That's why The Shape of Water is so extraordinary.
Yes.
But back in the day when they first started the Academy Awards, they did have those two categories, and perhaps that we should.
What was the category?
So it wasn't like
Was it
technically
most
this,
important?
but it was like most aesthetic value, and then like the populist version. And I feel like that would be not a bad thing for us. However, when you talk about Wonder Woman as being culturally significant, there is no award for that.
I know, and a lot of people say that I only want it nominated because it's important, and important doesn't matter. But to me, important does matter. There's so many movies when you look back at movies that not only are nominated for Oscars but have won Oscars that you're like, that movie doesn't matter at all. In 2 years, there's nothing about it that matters or that I want to remember. It was a totally fine film, and I think Wonder Woman does hold up. Well, I think it will. Who knows? Maybe in 5 years I'll feel differently, and we all will. But I think that there is something about it that needs to be remembered, and that doesn't necessarily mean an award. But if you have that, it is more likely that you are kept on a higher shelf.
But I think, Wonder Woman is not going to be forgotten, and the Oscars are less relevant now than they were 10 years ago, than they certainly were 20 or 30 years ago.
Why do people say that?
Because I think because there's so many different awards now, and there's so much saturation, and I also think that like just everything is less meaningful. The Super Bowl is not as big of a thing now as it was 10 or 20 years ago. I think just the world has gotten bigger. People are exposed to more things. There's more things to watch.
People see movies less.
People see, and I just think that it's certainly a big deal to us in the entertainment industry. But I think it used to be like the Oscars used to be like the most watched TV broadcast of the year.
How have the ratings been the last few years?
Ratings for
Always
every
down.
award show have been slumping.
Yeah, right?
It still draws in some. It's like
I
half
think
what
the
it
Globes
used to
actually
be.
were up though, because it was the first award show since. But I think the rest of them were down.
The curiosity factor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are they going to talk about?
I wonder.
I mean, the Oscars
Me
are
too,
certainly still
but
prestigious.
Weird joke. I wonder. I
see what you did there, yeah.
Okay.
Who else can we offend today? I know that I've managed to offend at least 7 humans.
Elijah being one of them. He does
Yeah.
not feel invited.
Elijah.
Oh, for the
I
record-
said he was invited.
For the record, Blade Runner 2049 would be attending my Seder, my Oscar Best Picture Seder.
I
would
get
be
that,
my,
but at least yours got invited. Maybe not to the 10-person table, but to a
kids'
surrounding
table.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough though because I mean, that's interesting what Billy said. I do think there's probably a bias against big popcorn superhero movies. You know, there's not a big bias against big popcorn movies if they're about the Titanic. You know, because that was a big popcorn movie.
or Avatar.
It was not
Yeah.
a art film at all. Cameron, I
Avatar.
love him. He doesn't do art films.
An important film. Not actually the most amazing film. It's not like I'm like, oh, what do I want to do tonight? Let me watch Avatar again because that one really.
Well, didn't I
moved
win
me.
like every single technical award that year?
It
yeah.
did.
But it was nominated. That's
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And that was an important film. Why that? Not Wonder Woman.
But is it? I mean, how many people really remember Avatar now?
I just mean important for the industry and the way that like you are able to do things as a director, and technically it was important. I think the actual movie is so bleh that it's crazy.
I'll tell you what, though.
Some
I
were
remember
offended by it.
Avatar more. I couldn't name the other films that were nominated that year.
Well, The Hurt Locker
The
won.
Hurt Locker
Best
won, but
Picture.
that's all I remember.
Well-
because he lost to his ex-wife. No, I remember because it was The Hurt Locker. That's not why.
I think the thing for me is that with the Oscars and with movies like Wonder Woman and Logan and superhero movies is like Wonder Woman and Logan, not Blade Runner, sadly, but they've already won because they made bazillions of dollars, so they will keep making those movies, and they don't need any help getting attention on them. There's no lack of awareness about Wonder Woman or superhero movies in general.
Okay.
The Oscars are the people like, but there's other movies that they make too. Maybe we could recognize some of those.
That's true.
Let's talk about the fact that Suicide Squad won an Oscar and Wonder Woman's not even nominated.
Yeah, I mean, it won
What
for,
did they win for
Best makeup.
Makeup. And
I
I
mean, that's
maintain
crazy.
that Killer Croc was good makeup, and I'm not just saying that because my boyfriend's company did it.
I'm not saying they shouldn't have won. I'm saying it's wild that Wonder Woman was not nominated for one thing.
But
That's wild.
but every year I think is an apples and oranges comparison, and I think there were a lot of very strong nominees this year, where maybe last year the field wasn't as strong.
Here's the thing is I have to ultimately agree. I love this debate. And what's exciting about Screen Junkies news is that we can disagree vehemently and still have a fire alarm stop us in the middle of our show.
Just keep fire alarm happening in the building. We're just going to keep going, right, Billy?
Other things to talk about today.
Wait, we barrel through.
Do we just keep going?
What do we do, Billy?
There's a real fire.
Yeah, Billy's going to go make sure we don't
Okay.
have to evacuate the building.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
This is
that's
madness.
pretty loud.
All right, I'm going to finish my rant and then we'll move on
And
to
we'll
our
wrap it
next
up quickly.
topic unless we're actually on fire, which is this. Man, we have to be able to disagree and not have it be personal or upsetting, and vehemently disagree and not have it be personal or upsetting if we're going to survive life, which we may not. We may be on fire. But Spencer, to me, I love what you said, and I think you're right, but Spencer to me is the ultimate point, and that's the only reason I really care about awards, is because there are so many movies that need that financial boost.
I feel you on
Or we're
that.
not
I
getting
agree.
them anymore. We're still definitely getting Wonder Woman. We're not getting another Florida project if he doesn't have any money to make his next movie.
Okay, you win, Elijah.
He's going back to the iPhone.
I'm Elijah?
No, Spencer. Elijah.
Oh, yes. See you at
Benny
the table.
G. Elijah.
Shabbat shalom.
Just so you guys know, Billy's running in and out to find out if we're actually on fire at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah.
I'm pretty positive I'm not on fire currently.
I don't know if I'm supposed to wrap up, so I guess I'm gonna
Do we
What
keep
do you
going?
think, Billy?
Wrap it up.
wrap it
All
up.
right,
We're on
gotta go.
fire. All right,
mean
we hope to
there's an actual
survive
See you
it
tomorrow?
today.
Yeah,
Maybe
we gotta go.
the building may actually
Oh.
be on fire.
At least we
You know
have
what?
some time.
If this is the last time we see you because we die in
been
a
real.
blaze,
Don't
it's
say
been
that.
so
That's
good.
That's not even-
No, keep them in
joke about
suspense.
that.
See if they'll come back
No.
tomorrow.
Come on.
Do you think that's why Joe's not here?
There's
Joe, oh my God.
Joe. We're gonna die with
think we have to
Joe, who we
go.
love.
Joe, did you start the
All
fire?
right.
Joe
Dan.
didn't start the
Well, if we
fire.
legitimately have to go, we should go,
Yeah,
right?
all right.
Dan, you're my favorite.
Yeah, let's just
I
go.
love Dan.
Let's just leave.
I
Bye.
love Spencer. I know you guys hate when I say that. I'm gonna die here just by
Why
myself.
won't JT wrap us out?